Hello, fellow swivel heads. This is Greg Allison coming to you live on the 26th of October, 2021. Time on deck is 1949 hours Central Daylight Time. Tonight, I bring you special guest, Cowboy Roy Rogers. Cowboy Roy Rogers is a trucker, and also he is one of our founding members and a real patriot within our Freedom Restoration Foundation. And he helps us do a lot of stuff in that regard. He keeps us glued together. He's always providing us a lot of input. So we're going to get some input from him tonight about the dilemma with trucking and how it's going to affect our supply chain and how it's poised to get a whole lot worse really fast. And guys, I got to tell you what, we are in a pickle. The supply chain is already falling apart. As you well know, we already have a trucking shortage, but somebody has come up with some notions for things that we got to do to ourselves that a lot of truckers just won't buy off on. And because of that, my friends, we are going to face a lot bigger supply chain unraveling. You got to watch how we say these words on this, Roy. Roy Rogers also has a YouTube channel. We're going to share that with you in a little bit. Before you get started, make sure you subscribe to my channel, bang the update notification bell, and click all. And I'm going to show you the link to Roy's channels. We'll get into this. I want you to subscribe to him. He's got a small channel, kind of like Stacy Savicki that we had on last night. But he puts out a lot of good content. He's a patriot. He's a trucker. And he's a prepper. And he loves freedom. So by all means, subscribe to his channel. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. And guys, think about this. Think about all the trouble we're having on the supply chains right now. Think about how things are unraveling, or just how the boxes are shipping containers are backed up at the ports, how the ships are backed up. And, and so a certain president has declared, well, we'll just run the ports 24/7. But you don't have the trucks to carry the stuff away anyway, as it is. And now with what's coming down, there's speculation that over a third of the truckers are going to walk off the job. What's that going to do? It's going to make a disaster. And some of them are even thinking about striking. So, we're talking about having a supply chain non-existence, just a horrible thing. This is why, my friends, you need to prep. You need to get ready. You better be buying the things right now. You're going to need to get you through the winter. Whatever you need to go get it right now while you can. Get it while the getting's good. I mean, go to the stores, get your supplies, get your food, get your first aid stuff, be sure to get all your heating supplies. There's real questions about the availability of heating supplies. I'm hearing rumors that a lot of gas products and things like that may not be available. Oh yeah, gas for your car maybe. Hey, truckers deliver everything we use, guys. Truckers deliver our food, our gas, the goods we buy at the stores. I mean, it's all coming through truckers. And when these trucks start rolling, you're going to be knowing that it's going to be a tough day. So take advantage while you can. And right now, I do have a special for you, $100 off a 3-month supply of food that lasts 25 years. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's got 2,000 calories a day, a deal that'll make you a winner. Go to prepwithgreg.com to get the special deal. Prepwithgreg.com. It'll help me. It'll help you. And hey, even if you are putting a lot of stuff in canning jars, like Stacy Savicki said last night, you can't put it in the caches that you hide in places because the jars will break. This stuff is easy to store. It's easy to bug out with. It's it's just easy to use like that. So yeah, can stuff as much as you can, but this kind of stuff is really good for the bug out. It's good and it's good for just long-term storage. Enough said about that. Cowboy Roy Rogers, what do you think about this? Are you in line to be compliant with what the president has expected of everyone? Are you going to line up and say, yeah, give it to me? Sock it to me. Are you part of that sock it to me crowd? Talk to us.
No, I don't sing that song. Howdy, fellow swivel heads and everybody. No, I don't sing that song. We prefer to use mass non-compliance.
Mass non-compliance
as the first step.
There you go. There you go.
And I've heard from a number of truck drivers that they are not intending to comply with all that kind of stuff and willing to shut down. Some can't. You know, small companies, we can lose a contract, and which could shut down the whole business. But on the other hand, as small business, we're also looking into the possibility of maybe starting to invest into another old used truck just in case somebody is going to need employment from one of those big companies.
Wow.
That is trying to take part in these mandates.
So how many truckers are part of the companies that will be subjected to this this thing putting upon them? You know, there's got to have over 100 employees, I guess. What percentage of truck drivers do you think is going to be subjected to this?
I would guess that it's probably over 50%. I haven't managed to look in specifically. It may be within some of the articles we found and didn't get to review completely, but I would guess at least more than 50%, because that's majority of your big trucking companies have a multitude of drivers. The people that we haul for, the locally, they probably have almost 100 employees altogether, drivers, mechanics, plant employees, and so forth. But it is a nationwide company. I haven't heard from them if anything is going to be expected of them. Here within the state of Texas, we have governor executive order preventing companies from doing that. So they're kind of stuck between two different rocks. They got one on one side telling them they're going to get fined if they don't do something, and then locally they're going to be fined if they do it. So what their choice is going to be is to be seen.
Wow. So you hear a lot of truckers talking to you. How many of these truckers are telling you that they may just quit, they may walk off the job? What are you hearing? What's the scuttle there amongst the, what's the scuttle among the shuttle?
Over the citizen band radio, over the CB channel 19, I hear discussions occasionally. On the other hand, the majority of the area I run, it's mainly in Spanish, because I go to the Rio Grande Valley pretty much each day of the work week. But also with the ones I'm in contact with directly, well, you know, there are some that have already taken shots because they expected from what they heard through the media that that was going to be helpful to them or their families or whatever. And then, of course, there are plenty others that are standing against it because they're like, we don't have enough information. You know, we're not against these things as a whole, but this new stuff, there's just not enough information provided to us. And they're also generally a more patriotic sort of folks anyway. That's part of being a trucker is, well, we like freedom. That's kind of why we're preferring to be out on the open road instead of in a cubicle somewhere. You know, we've got 4 monitors instead of 1. We got the 4 big screens around us, 2 in front and 1 on each side. And then you can always include the 2 to 7 hanging off the door so you can see the backside.
There you go. There you go.
But
and you got mirrors.
Big mirrors. It varies between individuals. My own boss hasn't taken anything. But on the other hand, the entirety of his family has, and thankfully, thus far, they're all doing okay.
Okay. Well, you know, there's some articles that's come out lately. Maybe I should do a little sharing. Before I do that, let me share your page so people can see your YouTube channel.
The page for this here channel?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Is that the one you're talking about?
That's it. Look at the shirt, everybody. Is that a wild shirt? Look at that. Looks like his truck's going through a time tunnel. I might get lost just looking at that shirt. Wow.
My friend Joe in Florida designed that for me. His website is the Wizard of Odd Hot Sauce. He also did Freedom Restoration Foundation logo as well for us.
The Wizard of Odd. Now that's a good one. That's a good one, folks. The Wizard of Odd. All right, so everybody check this out.
A friend did these for us on the foundation, and then that also. And now one of our members is actually trying to do shirts to help benefit the foundation from our channels.
All right. Maybe I need to pull up our channel in a little bit. I'm going to come back to us before I do that, though. So, yeah, so Roy is a trucker. A lot of his videos are from his truck. You see, he covers prepping. He covers, he grows a little bit of stuff. He's, he's very much a freedom lover, concerned with the earth, stop accusing, and help these citizens. Okay. A lot of videos from the truck there. But that's where you spend most of your time, is in that truck. And it looks like you got a video here about the Freedom Restoration Foundation. That's our
10 hours a day on the regular route is behind the wheel.
Yeah. All righty, guys. So here it is. A lot of material here. And he's only got 167 subscribers. So let's blow that up, guys. I'm driving this video, so it's kind of hard for me to, hang on, give me a second. I'll see if I can pull that up on my other computer and not get lost. I want to show y'all the link and let y'all go into it. Give me one moment, please. So this takes a little, now it might be, I should better do it from, yeah, I'm actually running two computers here. There we go. In a second. So Roy, while I'm doing this, tell us about the supply chain, how it relates to trucking, and what you see coming out of all this. I'm going to share some articles on it.
Already in the spring of 2020, when we had these lockdowns, from when they finally acknowledged the fact that the illness was here in this country months after it actually was, that made some changes already, with only one benefit, and that was so many people hiding in the closet that the roads were safer for us to do our jobs and rather pleasant for a little while. But you have to look at the good side and the silver lining of everything. Come on. But
hey, I'm there with you, buddy.
There were, some drivers got sick and so forth, but also it's not just the drivers, when you're picking up or hauling from somewhere and people are sick or they're not going into work because they've been told they're sick when they're probably not because of some test that didn't work appropriately. On the other hand, mandates of the companies where we go to all the time, all of a sudden they put a sign out, okay, stay in your truck, call on the phone. They're not answering the phone because it's so busy. You sit on the scale and wait and wait. Finally, somebody comes out to the truck to get your paperwork from your hands and carry it in so they can do it for you, bring it back out after their hands are all over it, and send you on your way to go drop the trailer and get a different one, or whatever the case is. The same location has outside carriers just come in from all over to pick up from them, from the goods that they produce. And they were expected to stay in the truck all the time. And yet initially that company didn't think, hey, we're these drivers that are stuck here for hours waiting in line going to use the restroom if we're telling them they can't come in our shop. So a few weeks later, they got smart and got some of them nice honey pots outside, a couple of them. But, it's stuff like that. Right now, I'm seeing a little mixed information coming in, but I've got family reading up into things and looking into stuff, as well as, you know, hearing from other drivers. I had conversation with my boss that he talks to a lot more drivers than I do, because he was still hauling rock instead of this other stuff for a long while. And then we got our mutual friend Lee Wilbarger with KLW World News, who was looking into it because everybody asked him about the ships. Well, the ports in California don't have a shortage of trucks, no matter what the government's telling us and the media is telling us. Trucks are sitting there waiting, and the employees are showing up to the job. Them union workers are there to do the job. They are being told from someone above their management not to do what needs to be done, which is a big part of what's leaving stuff sitting offshore. And there's different stipulations about why, and we'll have to find those answers in the future. So in that scenario, there's not necessarily a shortage of trucks or truck drivers. On the other hand, here in Central Texas, yes, there's a shortage of drivers, and I blame it on those individuals that are sitting on the couch living off the rest of us through income tax and the unemployment and other programs.
Yeah.
And I blame it on this because of discussions with other drivers and people in numerous other occupations.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's kind of all over. There's way too much of that. A lot of us believe. I'm going to pull up our Freedom Restoration Foundation.
I can also say that some of it is just because of less than top quality drivers. You know, when we have people that are inexperienced or overconfident going out destroying company equipment and losing loads, well, obviously they're not going to be employed there very long, and somebody else may not want to employ them either, and which was a case before these past 2 years of planned situations.
Yep. Unfortunately, planned situations. So Roy, I'm hearing numbers like this. The American Trucking Associations are saying that we're already behind and in need of 80,000 more truckers right now. And that in fact, the schools that grant the CDL license, because a lot of them were closed, they were 100,000 licenses less last year than normal. So I guess we'd had a surplus of truckers had they had been able to deliver on that, if you run the math on that, but who knows? One doesn't necessarily mean the other. But, as I understand, it takes 4 to 7 weeks to get a CDL license. And, it's been said that of the truckers, now you're a young guy, but, a lot of the truckers, like, I understand some about 30% of them are real near, in the next 10 years are going to be a retirement age of at least 65 or older. And a lot of these are guys who, they've made some cash and they've saved it up, and they probably don't want to tolerate all this. They may just be ready to throw in the chips and call it quits early. So a lot of them maybe, and if I had some savings, with what I'm dealing with, that'd be nice. But for me, being a contractor with the government, I'm not. If I don't get what do you call it, exception approved, I'm out the door.
Faith exemption.
Yeah, exemption. Thank you for. If I don't get an exemption, I'm out the door. I mean, that's it. And for me,
even before now, there were truck drivers retiring early. I know 3 personally, between friends and family, that retired at about 60. And 2 of them aren't going to go back to driving. One, she'd been over the road and so forth and just had enough and quit driving out of Florida and moved to Texas to join family, and is basically just living out in the country and taking care of a homestead, trying to fix it up and helping with the family business. And another, his was partial for medical reasons. Then the third retired from one company and went to just working on the farm for a while, and then went back to just hauling more locally for small companies, like specifically grain hauling for some of the local farmers and such, instead of for the farm cooperative running all across the state, hauling grain and sack feed and so forth like that. And a lot of that had to do with a different sort of government mandates. It had to do with Department of Transportation and the implementation of electronic logs, that expecting us to all learn new electronics. And also that restricts the hours available, because those things are not set up to work with the legal intrastate laws of the state of Texas. Interstate, you can only drive a max of 10 hours. Well, state of Texas, legally, we have 15 hours on duty, and of that, it can be 12 hours of driving if we do not ever cross the state line within that week. But, you know, the one of them, like I said, he's back to driving truck, but he won't go any of the longer hauls and so forth, and is fed up with being stuck sleeping here, there, all over the place, in part because of different mandates, but also in part because the law officers, there are a lot of great ones that I deal with, the Department of Transportation and their inspectors too. And my, 13 years of being predominantly a truck driver instead of mechanic, I've had one complete foolish jerk. Well, some of these other folks have had to deal with them on a regular basis. You know, some people in positions of power kind of get too big-headed. For example, those that aren't in law enforcement, but the ones we're discussing about in the government situations. They seem to think they should be able to tell everybody how to do things instead of working lawfully. For example, part of the reason we're here together today is because the Constitution of these United States of America that they seem to be usurping and attempting to abolish.
That's when we started our Freedom Restoration Foundation. By the way, President World said hi to you. She wanted you to hear that she said hi. And so let's go back in and do a little sharing again. And now that you mentioned our Constitution, and we have two other members of our Freedom Restoration Foundation amongst our chat room tonight. We have Gail and we have Stacy. So how about that, guys? This is an article I was going to show you guys, but let's just so you guys know, several of us, you know, I started this group sometime last year, I believe, and we've got this website put up. It's all coming out of my pocket right now. And what we do here, we've got a nationwide group here. We call it the Freedom Restoration Foundation. And we have a Facebook site. We have a site on MeWe. And you can see what we're all about here. Yeah, and we're talking about this last issue, I believe, right now as much as anything. But we are concerned with all of our freedoms. We would tell people to take the actions nationally, locally, personal things. And then we put alerts on here. And this last alert was one that Roy wrote up himself and sent to me, and I loaded it on the website. You know, guys, I don't have time to maintain a website. We need some volunteers. But what's really cool about this website is that we have an action center page that gives you more information than I think any other activist group in the country to put in your pocket for things that you can do and how to do them. Again, it will show you all the alerts, but it also tells you the basics here, where to go for tracking bills in Congress, two different websites that do the same thing, how to track stuff in your states. I think there's another link I need to add to that. State legislator websites, find out who your U.S. Congress representative is, because you got one member of the House, you have two senators. Then it tells you about sending an email, calling, writing, what to write, what to say on the phone, and there's a recap of all these resources. And again, some of these big things that we're backing. And we go beyond that. We talk about some of the legislation. Now, this needs updating, guys. We're a volunteer organization. We're all people who are just over swamped with so many things going on. But we got spreadsheets in here talking about various pieces of legislation, telling you where they're at, Congress, who the sponsors are, a great bit of detail. Now, we need some help maintaining this stuff, so we definitely need some volunteers, guys. Just some of the stuff we do, just so you can see. We'll get back talking about the trucking and our supply chain, but we just have so many members of this on board here tonight. I just thought I'd share that. And let's see. Oops, I think I just killed the share. I don't know how I did that just then. So anyway, there we are. We'll go back here in a minute. We'll look at the, that was odd. I did not hit kill share, but it seems to have done it anyway. All right, so we're going to go back because I want to pull up this article so we can get back to the topic tonight. I got too many things open here. Halo, hang on, guys. It's not exactly rocket science, but there's so many. I got so many tabs and screens open. It's not funny. It's juggling, guys. I might be a rocket scientist, but I'm no juggler. Here we are. Vaccine mandates threaten major trucking disruption, industry insiders say. And you truckers, you don't like taking orders, right? You just told me y'all were independent sort. You love freedom. Well, that's what it says in here. This has been recognized that you're a freedom-loving group of people. And so that's what this is talking about, guys. I don't want to read everything in here. I don't think that's my place to do that. Lisa Haven covered this topic this morning too. I think she was cherry picking parts of this article here. One thing that struck me is, just this phrase here: truck drivers spend most of their hours working alone in a cab of a truck. About as safe a place as you can get, right? So overall, how do you feel your safety is when you're on the road, Roy? How do you feel about it?
Well, I believe in taking full advantage of the entire Constitution of these United States of America, starting with the Second Amendment that protects the First and all the rest of them. And as things have progressed along the southern border of Texas and the whole country, I've gone to upgrading and improving and carrying more defense items than normal.
You got a new word for those in this channel. We call them nugs.
Nugs, yeah. Well, I keep an extra one in each vehicle nowadays. Long arms, because we're not only having a lot of folks, these flying aliens that are illegal flying in to join us on silver wings, but of course we got them waiting and walking in too. And this is including illegal immigrants. Just recently there were over 20 apprehended, and that may have been on the Texas border, not including the entire country. And Texas border covers roughly half of the whole southern border of our country as for on land. But of course, we've had individuals having firearms in their faces in the hands of Mexican cartel here in our country, not over there in Mexico or someplace else. And some have lost their lives to them. There's people that are nervous to stay in their own homes at night, especially elderly folks who live alone and so forth.
Yeah, I did a video. I did a video on that.
Good people of border network news, like the real Anthony Aguero and Oscar L. Blue is actually in Mexico taking part, also showing stuff, and Ranchers for Warriors, some good different people covering this, but this is affecting us. I see it personally as a driver because coming up out of the Rio Grande Valley up 281, I have to pass through a Border Patrol checkpoint. And they got to stop each vehicle, ask questions and so forth. Sometimes they want me to open the sleeper curtain so they can look inside and such. And occasionally I actually have to pull over and get the entire rig x-rayed. Used to, they had an x-ray truck to go around it. And this is, you know, a normal procedure that's been in place for years because of contraband and narcotics trafficking. And they've put in a new location there that they actually have a scale that I drive the truck, ease it straight through at 5 miles an hour, don't even have to get out. In the past, they would have to test their equipment each time after they had actually found somebody hiding in a vehicle to make sure they didn't get excess radiation of any sort from the x-ray machine that they had mounted on a truck that would drive around whichever vehicle they were inspecting.
Oh my gosh.
And
Nasty.
I've seen a few things, and you know, as for the illness side of the deal, not a whole lot. But you know, when you're always in a truck and stop once at a truck stop in 2 different locations for companies, pretty much it's all rolling and going. But you know, a little off our original topic, but I have seen child trafficking. I see people hiking through the brush along the roadsides, and I'll report it when I pull up into the checkpoint. Or this past week, I gave up and I found the number so I could call and report stuff on the to the Border Patrol, because the week before, the guy ran across the divided highway out in front of me, and the following Monday there was one hiking up through the brush, and it's all ranch land through that area, and it's almost guaranteed neither one of those was any ranch worker. I've seen whole groups of people walking up through, and that's just little stuff. I've witnessed a very near wreck caused by someone who had been pulled over by a Texas DPS on the northbound shoulder of the road up north of that checkpoint I mentioned. And all of a sudden they dart from that shoulder across the 2 lanes in front of traffic through the left hand, the median, the crossover in the median, and into the south. So not only did a car have to swerve, but so did a tractor trailer rig, and the 2 of them almost wrecked into other vehicles because of that. So I asked the agents at the checkpoint within a couple of days later, and they says, yeah, they crossed back over, headed southbound through the checkpoint, surprisingly without hitting anything. And then when they tried to cross back over from the northbound to the southbound lanes, they wrecked the car trying to get through the crossover. This is also part of what is causing problems, not only for trucking, but for all people as for safety. It's directly tied into these mandates and everything else. These people were invited to come up here. They're not expected to take the same medical treatments they are. The ones that have been flown in from the Middle East are provided pharmaceuticals that we're not even allowed to talk about, and pharmacies are told not to give them even if a doctor prescribes them. And then you got the nut sort of people in the media saying, oh, people are eating horse wormer, even though the stuff was around since the 1980s and fully tested for humans long before it was made into a different form to treat parasites in livestock. It's all related. we're expected to do one thing while those people themselves expecting it aren't doing it. They're not maintaining it for themselves. And then they wonder why not only truckers, but a large majority of the people are pushing back. I've recently taken part in a group of people that are of DOD, firefighters, and federal employees, sharing information with each other, how to do what you're needing to do in order to keep your job, and all of these law enforcement and everybody else for their faith mandates. They are also seeing what's really going on, and they've had enough. People are tired of, laws for you, but not for me, out of the governing parties.
Amen. Our Constitution pay royalty, and yet our Congress passes laws and our administration passes things that really set them up as royalty because it's not subject to them. It's subject to us subjects, which is against the whole proposition of what our republic was supposed to be. So a lot of articles here talking about how our supply chain is going to be in worse trouble than it is already due to these things. And I've been talking about this in general too. I was focusing on the industry at large, not just the trucking industry, but the trucking industry is a special case of this. Let me stop the share here. Hang on, guys, so you can see us. Now, the trucking industry is a special case of this because the trucking industry glues this whole country together. That, you get some freight moved by planes, and of course, a lot of stuff is moved by trains, a lot of bulk freight. But it's really the trucking industry that's got us all glued together, and without it, we're going to be in a severe hurt. We're already in a severe crunch, and what we're looking at is getting worse because of this and so many other things. So Roy introduced another topic, the one we covered last week in a video. I did video, what's his name? We did an interview, help me out.
Anthony Aguero.
Anthony Aguero, yeah, Anthony Aguero.
Yes, our member Doug Thomas, who's in chat, helped us all get it together.
Right. And I'm going to do an interview with Doug for too long. And I need to get Anthony back in too to talk about the latest. So, and I've been meaning to ask you, and you've already said it to a large degree here. What a lot of people don't realize is they're talking about 60, now some are saying 85,000 people coming up through the border all at one time, and a huge surge. And the question is, will the cartels come across with them? Are they going to be armed? Because they're making some of the language that some of the organizers are putting out there. This isn't just a bunch of people coming in and wanting to be peaceful. Exactly. Some of the language is language of warfare, and it's when you start looking at that, and just even without that, just suddenly dumping that many people in a community is going to be extremely disruptive. And as you said, people are already afraid to stay in their homes and that. So how does Texas feel? I mean, how do the people on the border feel? Are they afraid? How afraid are they?
I've even spoke with the Valley office of Texas Senator Judith Zaffirini, with the people working in her office, and she's a Democratic senator. But when I contact those people in the Valley, they actually listen. They understand what I'm talking about because, like you say, they're dealing with them themselves. I work in contact with 3 different men at the dock that I pick up loaded trailers from, and they live in the McAllen, Farr, and Edinburgh area. They're not in some of the other areas that are being directly affected so much. But even in the past, couple years ago, or 3 maybe, the one of them said he went into the back of one of the restaurants to do his work, where they had a fenced-in area where the used grease is at. He stumbled into a half a dozen, or no, he said about a dozen young men illegals that had were hiding out there. He feared for his life. Well, thankfully, they were a peaceable sort of people, and they were begging him not to report them. And he turned back to the truck to get his stuff or whatever, and to get clear of them, and turned around and they disappeared. You know, they're all still down there with their families. I was speaking with them today. I said, you know, I know your company has regulations on the ways that you can not be able to defend yourselves. I sure hope you got extra fire extinguisher in your trucks, and maybe some pepper spray and a big combination wrench or something for tightening the nuts on them stuff you work on. And they said, well, you know, we seem to be fine, don't think we'll be bothered or anything. But I've, even before these recent, and I won't even go along with the surge word, because it's much worse than that. It's a blooming tsunami of humans. But
human tsunami.
I have a cousin that works for a crane company, and he knows some of the pipeline welders and so forth. And one of the welding inspectors had to go out to a location on a ranch real remote out west of Del Rio years ago. And the welders weren't quite finished. Told him, hey, go ahead and get you a hotel room or whatever. Come back in the morning. We'll be all finished. He went back the next day. Their trucks were gone, and their bodies weren't fully attached to the top anymore.
Oh.
From people hiking through the brush and decided, well, they were no longer wanting to walk. That was before we actually had the cartel themselves crossing through. That was the drug mules doing the job for them. Now we have those people out on ranches telling landowners what to do and running them off their land. Police chases onto properties where people are running to close the gate in front of the police and stuff like that to get away. As this number 60 to 80,000 that were reported, so far that was disproven by Oscar L. Blue, because he went down to southern Mexico to Tapachula, where the majority of them are crossing, and a whole horde of them have been waiting from all sorts of nations. And a few days ago, a caravan of 5,000 left there, and he's been going along with his car each day and then stop and walk along the roadside with them and interview them. He's expected it to build up to 6,000 because of people adding to it.
Okay.
But previously, it was estimated there will soon be a total of 400,000 more.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Are there more than one caravan? So you said 400,000?
There will be. Yes, that's what has been estimated. Now, we also need to figure, okay, reports are apprehensions in the country have been roughly 1.5 million this year. In the past, U.S. Border Protection Agency reported that they would manage to apprehend at maximum 25% of the actual border crossers. This year, they have reported to our senators that, you know, all the ones that turn themselves in, but on the other hand, at that 1 week, they'd seen 1,000 on their surveillance cameras and never apprehended them.
Good Lord.
And that was just in the McAllen area.
Okay, hey, we got
And we hear a lot about Texas and Arizona. I am certain that the same thing is most likely going on in New Mexico and California, but those states are more welcome to it happening.
Wow.
They actually have sanctuary cities.
Wow.
So I had estimated, okay, by the end of this year, there may be 4 million new people between what's being flown from the Caribbean and South America by somebody within the administrations, and those that were flown from the Middle East and so forth here and to other countries. And then the ones that were flown to other countries, those were just called lily pads. They are probably already brought here by now. I had estimated 4 million, and I've been told, no, you're wrong. It'll probably be 5 by the end of December. Because of all those that aren't. To ask in one of your questions, they're reporting what's being caught. Well, they're not managing to catch the people that need to be caught because they're tied up dealing with all the people that are turning themselves in, so they can just get bused to Miami or Dallas or Pittsburgh or wherever they want to go. People are still not seeing that they're going over the entire country. And when it ties into trucking, up near Odessa and Midland, Texas, for years already, there's been people came here illegally, driving commercial trucks, doing a terrible job of it, and doing it with Texas driver's license that were gained illegally because, just like in San Antonio, a woman got in trouble for selling driver's license. The same kind of stuff is happening in West Texas and probably across the whole country. Just had 3 Haitians show up speaking a dialect of Spanish that my family and Hispanic neighbor couldn't understand, to my family's home out in the country wanting cabrito. They wanted their goats. And thankfully, a local police officer was headed home. So he stopped at the intersection and pulled over and just sat and watched until they were gone, and pulled up and spoke to my family. But it's like, there's 3 of them in a car. They come here with nothing. They had to give all the money that they got, however, to the cartels to get brought here. Who's giving them money so they can go buy a car? Or was it stolen? I'm guessing the officer probably took the time to run the plates and it wasn't. Otherwise, he'd have contacted the sheriff deputies or the Texas DPS, considering they were on the intersection of a county and state road. You know, he was out of jurisdiction.
Okay, so
This is the least of what's happening.
Mikey works, not Mikey works. Frozen World asked a question. Frozen World asked if they're actually being paid to say they're pro-Biden, maybe to chant Biden stuff, and so that begs bigger questions. Are these people being paid? Is there, how much organization is there behind this? Because I hear this is pretty well organized, and who's behind this? If it's organized, who's running all this? Who's paying for it? But are they being paid to chant pro-Biden or say they're pro-Biden or anything like that? Have you heard anything like that? On the chat room.
My opinion is that out of the New England states, there are people that are funding a lot of this, providing them the money to pay to cartel and such. But, you know, they do, those that have family members been working here, they're mailing or using Western Union or whatever to send American cash to them. And, you know, they save up money. The people that work here legally, they spend just enough to get by and then buy themselves one nice set of clothes and new boots or whatever and send most of the money back. So some of it is funded by their own families or whatever. Some of it, I'm sure, is directly, but then also you have the deal of they're having to fall into contracts as indentured servants, basically, for those cartel. If they don't have the cash, then they get put to work. And as it used to be, they probably are put to work in the type of stuff that they don't realize they're going into, especially young women. They don't end up just working as maids in hotels. No, they're servicing other things, and it's awful. And then the trip to get here is even worse. And not just molestation and attacks on women, but even men, I've recently heard. And back to Oscar, he interviews them people and asks them. Thankfully, he can speak at least 3 or 4 languages a little bit. And down between Colombia and Panama, they have to go through the Darien Gap through a jungle. Anybody he asked about that, he asked them, did you see people die? And one fella, his own brother had. And others, oh, it's 20-something people, 50-something people. So once they make it past that point, which is the worst of the trip, yeah, I guess I would keep moving too if I was them. I've managed to survive that awful deal, or survive whatever awful ordeals to get out of the Middle East or somewhere, and then on a boat over to South America. But we have people promoting this on media and out of government offices. We've got an organization of multiple countries have some kind of a immigration pact or something or other, but for some reason they're all being immigrated to the United States of America. And the UN is providing food and water for these people as they're hiking along through different countries.
Oh, really?
But there's no funding and no assistance to help them do anything legally.
But food.
They can help them do all kind of stuff illegally, but why not help them do it the right way?
Bingo, exactly.
That's ridiculous.
Well, see, that's my whole thing. We've got a process for immigration. We actually need workers, but our process screens people so that we know who's coming in, that we can vet them. When they come across the other way, they're already a criminal because they broke the law to come in, and they're also, who knows who they are? Who knows what kind of organization they're involved with? Who knows if they're with a terrorist group, a gang cartel, or what their background is? Maybe the prisons are being emptied out in some of these countries and the people sent up here. I've got friends in Mexico who would love to come here, but they're not going to break the law to come here. But because there's so much of that going on, the people who are trying to get in legally from these other countries are hampered. Like one friend in particular, she can't even get in here because there's so many bars that coming in from Mexico by legal route. Because supposedly
it was already that way over 30 years ago. My own daddy was once engaged to a Mexican woman in a little ejido way back at the base of the mountains. 20, 30 miles from any paved roads. And he was trying to get legal to marry her there and get the documentation and get stuff for her to be able to come up here, and that just wasn't working. But also he'd been trying to see if he could move down there. And if he'd been a rich man, he could move down there, but he wasn't allowed to work and get a job there. So it frustrates him is that, well, all their people can come up here and work, but I can't go work and support myself and my wife. So that relationship ended because of government policies of the two countries. And like you say, yes, immigration reform does need to happen, just not in the means that this current administration is trying to push for. And obviously there's no reform. Instead, they opened the gates and turned on the welcome sign.
Hey, you know what?
But
you know what? Think about this. In the Capitol, the cops opened the door and welcomed people in, and those people being prosecuted. Americans who were legal. In this case, we're opening the gates and welcoming people in, and they're allowed to do whatever. Isn't that a strange analogy?
Oh yeah. Company I drive for, down in the valley, with our drivers trying to back into the dock because the parking lot's not big enough. You have to nose out into the road unless you do crazy shoulder driving and blind side backing like I do, because the traffic's gotten thicker. Somebody come cruising down that road, smack into the side of the truck. Nice 1995 Kenworth that I drove had actually been partially rebuilt before I ever got to drive it, because of somebody running into it. Not only was he a drunk driver, not only was there no insurance on the car, but also he had no driver's license, or if he did, it was for a different country. And he only spoke Spanish. That was basically the second time that happened. I didn't realize till later on. My boss told me something had happened similar. Well, I started working for them while that driver was still doing that for us. So she told me about it herself. And that officer kind of had to restrain her, because when she found out not only all that stuff, but it was uninsured, so our company was going to have to pay for his drunken damage. That's one sort of woman you don't mess with. She wasn't happy. But you know, that was already years ago. And then now we got more people up here causing problems. We've got the government policies making it for people don't want to drive anymore, just like not wanting to do all sorts of other stuff because of illness or just messed up policies and changes in legal time available and these electronic logs and so forth. And then also it's continuing to get more expensive. You're all seeing what gasoline prices are. Here in Texas, fuel is cheaper. You know, we're not seeing $7.50, $8 a gallon for gasoline like my contacts out in California. But I'm seeing $3.50 a gallon for diesel, when almost an exact year ago, I paid $1.79 for diesel. And if you post anything about that on social media, especially face recognition book, of course, oh, well, that's misinformation, or that's partly false, or this and that. Excuse me, 2 pictures of what happened then and happened now is not false. We're wondering why this happened. And no, it's not just because of a squarely mixed up administration. There's a list of things that cause it. But when you shut down pipelines, you stop drilling, you continue to let all of the crude that is drilled from our own soil get sold overseas, which Obama's the one that lifted the cap on that had been there since the 1970s. And that was a whole nother ordeal for a different video in order to destabilize the country of Venezuela. But you got all this going on. Okay, the small bit companies are the only ones that are going to be able to keep working without as much harassment. But now we see in articles that, yeah, this administration is directly trying to make truck drivers get these new shots and so forth that aren't tested. For 30 years, they haven't been fully tested for safety. Anything came during that time.
Let's just refer to it as the Kool-Aid. Let's kind of be careful what we say here. We
Kool-Aid.
need Kool-Aid. Yeah, we'll have to use
like Anthony says too.
Huh?
Like Anthony Aguero calls it also, Kool-Aid.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Kool-Aid.
Well, and then there's a lot of people who done drank too much Kool-Aid straight out of the TV screen, so they're trying to tell us what to do. And I mean, I saw a deal today. A Christian man in the church stepped up to address something. The minister behind the Masthead. And what happens? Half the congregation attacks him and carries him out suspended in the air out the front door. Why? Because he's standing up for faith of his creator, like all of them should have been doing.
Wow. Yeah, one about
So
churches now.
is this Kool-Aid already affecting their brains? Like in my expose and health playlist of Mr. The man who builds gates, Billy, talking about how some stuff could be used to change the radical thinking of those folks in Afghanistan. That was recorded in 2005, and I think the original may have been done in 1995. So obviously none of this stuff is any coincidences. It's all been in the works. Majority of it was manufactured, and I'm not talking about what they're trying to pass out now. I'm talking about how they made people want it. It's just, and the shortages are manufactured too. Some people are claiming, oh, well, maybe an executive order from a previous administration made it so that those countries cannot sell to us because they took part in something that affected us the other November. Well, I tell you what, all those goods on those ships are already paid for. Our corporations ordered the stuff, they had to prepay for it, just like if we order something online or whatever. It's all paid for. So the ones that are hurting is here, our people. They may not be the best corporations, but still, it's here that's hurting because of it. And the roll, the snowball rolls downhill. If they're not getting those goods to sell, they're going to be hiking the price up on what they are selling. And I don't know about production of parts and so forth for the big trucks. We have older trucks, we're having trouble getting parts sometimes. Locally, the prices are ridiculous. We're ordering stuff out of dealership in Kentucky. Same parts. Or we just had struggling to get them. When it comes to my Peterbilt, otherwise we've got Freightliners because they're cheaper to maintain and so forth, but thankfully I'm spoiled. But it's causing problems everywhere, but the manufacturing of new vehicles, I forget which YouTuber it was reporting that the pickup trucks that are manufactured sitting in Kentucky, there's supposedly 50,000 of them waiting on computer chip from China, and the same chip can be made here and available here, but they're cheaper from over there. But also the answer is, well, they're already paid for. They're sitting off the coast of California.
All right, we got a person in chat room said his wife's truck was not moving for months because she didn't get a spare part, and it finally came in, so she's able to run again. But this is the kind of thing I've talked about when I talk about the supply chain, was the parts that go into the factories, the trucks, and all these different things. You got to have all these parts, or you don't run. The whole supply chain's got to be working together, or it starts to fall apart. This is why I talk about unraveling. And the more challenges we get, like we're already saying, if they start growing deeper, the problems are going to go much higher. And it's not linear. It's not one for one. It multiplies. It is exponential. We could be in a severe, a certain person who ran for president talked about a dark winter. Maybe he knew what he was talking about. It looks like we're heading for a dark winter where energy may be hard to come by, supplies may be hard to come by. It may be a cold winter, and who knows? We may actually lose our power grid because he's nuzzling around with China in such a way he may prompt them to take our grid down. But we got the solar stuff going on, and some of us have been trying to get the grid hardened for years. And all the people that can do that have been dragging their feet. We've been trying to fight that, but we've not been successful so far. So we're at risk. We're a lot of risk this year. That's why I tell everybody to prep. And you also need to go in and get go ahead and now buy your seeds for the spring. You may not be able to get them this fall, winter, next spring. Get them now. Go to Tree Leaf Market. Check out my links. So many of my videos got links on, not all of them. I don't always post. I usually don't post links on my live videos. I did last night, somewhat with the video I did with Stacy. I got to go back in at her channel link unless I missed that last night. But definitely prep. Get ready, folks. This is serious. It can get a lot worse because we're talking about. Royce brought and he's been talking about two different things tonight that are both challenging for where we're going forward in time. One, we started this topic out talking about the supply chain unraveling, the trucking side of it. But Roy's very sensitive what's going on the border. He's there in Texas. It's one of these things he's worried about because he's seeing this. And that's another thing that could really cause us big problems in our country over the next many months for what happens down there. It could be severe. New Days Old Ways earlier, the chat room posted that some of them want to take the West back from down there, call it Etzland, and they want to. They don't really care about the people that are there already. They would just assume get rid of you by any means possible. I think that may be a high expectation on our part, but here's what I worry about, and I'll probably do a video specifically on this. If the grid goes, even without the grid going down, you got to realize something. Our military bases don't have anything but a few, usually contract cops watching the gates. And they just have their little side pieces on them. Their nugs are just little pea shooters. And there's only a handful of them. You don't have squads guarding the base. In fact, they're not even permitted to carry a nug. And they're not really set up to defend their base. Those bases aren't set up to be defended. They could be overrun, just like all those bases in Afghanistan were. And if you got a force coming in like the cartels, if they're coming in with all this other immigration, especially the power grid goes down as a smoke screen, you could be facing very severe consequences in the states along the border. And there's quite a few military bases in there that could be, they absolutely could be overrun, guys. Absolutely. I work on the military. I've been on military bases most of my career. I was in the Army. When I was at Fort Greely, Alaska, I figured it was the civilians up there that's going to offer us the biggest protection if the Russians ever invaded, because they had nugs up to their teeth far more than we did. And like I said, we couldn't even get to ours. They had them. They slept with their nugs. That's where I learned the art of sleeping with your nug. They literally did, because they had stuff that
I grew up that way.
Hey, they had big hairy critters that could come through their wall and eat them. Oh yeah, by the way, what does one polar bear say to another about an igloo?
I haven't the slightest idea on that one. I'm a little bit warm weather.
Okay. Hey, these are great. They're crunchy on the outside and chewy on the inside. So,
and don't know which flavor you're going to get, just like the box of chocolates.
Exactly. So nice surprise treat, igloo. If you're a polar bear, yeah. Those things are huge. And yeah, polar bears in particular, they think people are a delicacy. So yeah, I got a special nug when I went up there. It was the biggest one you could put on your hip that was on the market at the time. And I figured if I was lucky, it might slow one of them down just enough that I might possibly, with a few other good luck factors in my favor, might possibly enable me to get away should I have to. Those things are serious.
Yeah, no kidding.
They are serious. There's no
stuff you use on coyotes and white-tailed deer down here won't do anything for a Alaskan brown bear or even for a grizzly or a black bear.
Oh no. Those are nothing. Lewis and Clark's expedition was rather shocked when they were dealing with the Grizz and the Rocky Mountains, because the stuff they used for black bears just wasn't working. they were, it was rather shocking to them in the most unnerving sort of way. But they thought they were bear men, and they discovered real fast that they weren't up to the task for those critters there. That's why the Hawkins rifle was invented. I should say wiffle, right? That's why the Hawkins wiffle was invented. Oh yeah, I got a few of them. But guys, it takes something serious to deal with it. Something really serious. And then you get up in Alaska, the grizz down in the Rockies are just little panda bears, especially on Kodiak Island, and where the brown bears are, and up in So I don't know. We got off on another topic. I don't know how we managed to do that, but just kind of struck a. Brian Perendi says that's from Jeremiah Johnson, Hunting Grizz. Yeah, that was a good movie. Now he got him a Hawkins rifle, but that's really why they did come up with that kind of a piece, and I had my share of them. I mean, I kind of always took a fancy to them mountain men sort. And when I'm in Alaska myself, and I carried a few of those kind of pieces. So yeah, that's kind of nugs. Like,
oh yeah, I grew up watching Ben.
Yeah. So another thing to think about, we've talked about trucking, and one of our chatters mentioned earlier on, guys, it sometimes takes me a little bit to get around to everything. One of the chatters mentioned earlier on that we often ignore the rail and what it means for the rail companies. Now, the rail companies are all big companies, like trucking. They move a lot of material in this country, and they all are really big companies. And if they're laying off, if they lose a big section of their labor, I'm sure just like everybody else are having labor shortages. What are they going to do? I mean, I imagine this will impact airlines and especially rail. Rail may have the toughest time with it. Just because of the fact they're all big companies in the rail industry.
It already is.
So what are you seeing this? I mean,
it already is.
Tell me about it.
No, I'm feeling it. I am feeling it. Couldn't get rail cars to Elgin, Texas. In order for finished grease to be loaded into.
Wow.
So instead of running from the Rio Grande Valley to Bastrop, I had to take the loads all the way to Houston. Well, the way the days fell, I wind up having to head over there in the morning, get there early, and sit and wait 3 to 4 hours for them to decide to unload the trailer. Then run down to the valley and come back up to Central Texas to go home. It all was because the rail cars, the tankers, were not getting to Elgin for them to be able to take the short drive from their plant to load those cars. Well, at the end of 2 weeks, I come to find out they had finally made it a lot closer. They were about halfway between Houston and Elgin, which is east of Austin. And they had another wait because they had to get an engineer. There was no engineer available to finish that last several miles. That messed up the whole week, not just for me, but everybody hauling the same product in South and Central Texas. Because 2 or 3 of us every day were having to go to Houston just to unload one trailer. So those people that are picking up the product, their trucks were full, waiting to get a trailer to pump it off into. The plant at Bastrop was all full. They were having to only unload their own trucks, and they were having to send extra people from that plant that should be able to unload to haul them over to Houston. Not because of truck drivers, because of the rail. Because they were short on people also, or something. But I know the last couple of days, they were short an engineer. Every bit of transportation ties together. Whether it comes to the country on a ship or an airplane, as you can all guess, then it winds up on a rail or on a big truck. We deliver to distribution centers, and then it gets sent on a different big truck or a smaller one. It's all tied together. So when there's that hiccup off our coasts, things aren't coming. It slows everything down. When people aren't willing to work because of the government's paying them not to, or because they don't want to get drunk on Kool-Aid, well, then it causes disruption. You're seeing it at your pumps. You're seeing it on your store shelves. Where I'm at, our shelves are still okay, but we have HEB. We have our own shipping docks. Walmart, Amazon, and another company have gone to using larger shipping containers and shipping directly through Texas. Off of our own docks in the Houston and Galveston area. I learned this through Lee Wilbarger in the past week on KOW World News, that he had looked it up for us.
Yeah, we're having quite a bit of that.
Now, and like you said, if any part of an electric grid goes down, if Texas goes down because they want us not to have the means to defend our border, or just because of a natural event, again, that affects everybody because things aren't moving like they need to be. In that February last, when stuff was iced over for a week, during that whole week, I hauled one load and it took me a day and a half to do it. I was finally allowed to leave to head to the valley to go get it. The day before, I think I could have got down there and back just fine. Finally left right about sun up to where then it would be clear enough to see better and so forth. And went through little patches of snow and whatnot and ice on the sides. Made the 4-hour run to the valley and then swapped out and hurried on back up and slowed down when I needed to for safety. I couldn't deliver it. It wasn't until the next day, late in the morning, that the roadway was clear, but also the ice on that concrete parking lot was clear enough that I wouldn't go in the gate and slide all the way into the wall of the plant. So this was a natural event. Some people think it was geoengineering. I call that hogwash. I do understand there are such things going on, but it's related to grand solar minimum. Okay, our Earth's magnetosphere is weak. Greg has told you about this as well as others. It weakened during the last solar minimum, which ended last year. Now we're in a solar maximum, but it's not getting much stronger. Our sun, it's getting more active. We're getting more sunspots, but magnetosphere is not really getting much stronger, if I understand. I'm not able to keep up with it because all these government deals going on and all these people flooding in to come hang out with us here from every which direction.
Yeah, let me point out something.
But okay, what if a larger solar flare than what we've had lately comes through?
Yeah, listen, we have the cycles in with the solar output, grand solar, maximums, minimums, grand solar minimums. We have these cycles, but the magnetosphere is not tracking that cycle. Now, some people get those mistaken. It has been going down steadily since we first have been measuring it back in, the 1800s. It's been a steady decline, but the rate of decline is accelerating. The magnetosphere is our shield. And we've got a big sunspot just coming around right now about to be aimed at us. So the sun is actually waking up pretty good in this cycle for right now, for where it is. So there's plenty to be concerned about there. With our shields down and the sun shooting toward our ground, it might knock us down all around. I mean, we may, in fact, lose our grid just to the sun. We've got, and here's another thing a lot of people don't realize, these gangs in Mexico, they actually did shut down the grid in one of the Mexican states and went in. So they know this. This is already part of how they operate. They went in and attacked the law enforcement, and they eliminated the law enforcement in that state because law enforcement had decided to get rid of the gang. They decided these gangs are too much. We're going to get rid of them. So what they did, they obliterated the law enforcement in that state. The Mexican gangs, they took over, and they did it by taking out the grid first. So if they're coming here, if here's what you got to worry. What happens if China hits Taiwan? Will they give us an EMP so that we won't respond? And does everything start coming unglued at the same time? Is that when the gangs decide they might want a piece of the Southwest? Is that when this could really amp up? What would happen if the grid's down? I mean, our bases, military bases, actually are operated from civilian power. And if you have a super EMP weapon, the question is, the super EMP weapons put out 4 times more the rated power than was the hardening standard for military red EMP hard type facilities. So will we even be able to get out one of those action alerts, emergency action alerts, to tell a submarine commander to launch because we've been attacked? Maybe not. It may be that we're just totally down in a drift, and other countries might do whatever they want at that point. So there's a lot to be concerned about. And could it all hit us at once? That's what I really worry about. I hope not. But Stacy Zavicki, who I had on my last channel, I've interviewed her in the past where she had that dream about 2 missiles coming up from Venezuela, off the coast of Venezuela, no less. And she had, it was a perfect setup for a surprise attack in the United States because we're not watching from there. And that is a very unstable country. And any country can go down there off the shore of Venezuela and launch something, and you wouldn't know who did it. Perfect plausible deniability. Who did it? And we'd have our usual suspects, but how could you say it was this one or that one? And then if our grid goes down, I mean, even if it just happened naturally and the United States suddenly found itself prostate, that would be a good incentive to China to make the move they've been wanting to make all along on Taiwan. Maybe North Korea would decide to move on South Korea. And, Russia might decide to take the Ukraine. And suddenly there's all these different fronts opening up. America can't fight on so many fronts at once. And we can't take on China and Russia at the same time. We would be hard pressed to take on either one alone. And I've got a speaker. I'm going to have a show Thursday about us having to take on China and Russia together at the same time. I mean, look, Russia and China are beginning to lock arms. Look how they just went all the way around Japan with a joint naval exercise. So if you think we might have to take them on together, you need to think again. All our treaties have been treaties that have been looking at controlling our arms, just looking at Russia alone. But now China may actually China's got a lot more than what a lot of people think. And because they're building enough missile bases just from the new missile silos to be able to launch 4,000 warheads at us, which is way more.
Yes, and they've probably had underground facilities to build it all in, is why nothing was noticed.
Yeah, like New Day says, I could see China coming up in Cuba and Mexico. Yeah, well, they're in Venezuela. I could see them working into Cuba and Mexico. So who knows? Especially on the cover and the fog of a grid down, it might be how they would take our ground coming in from these different avenues. And they would first let the cartels go in, and first let the so-called settlers, immigrants come in, and then they would come in behind all that once the field had been cleared out a little bit. Or they might wait a year until we're in starvation here in this country, and 9 out of 10 or more are gone. The EMP Commission reported to Congress, for which the guy interviewed a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, Dr. Peter Vincent Pry. They had determined that 9 out of 10 people in the United States would be gone within a year due to societal collapse. And I've informed them that was a very optimistic number, and he really couldn't argue with me on that because I pointed out a lot of other factors that they did not take into account, like the nuclear power plants, especially the spent fuel rod pulls, which most people don't think about the threat from them, which I think is worse than the reactors, and just the fact that farmers don't even grow their own food anymore. They're mostly just growing market food. And all this food grown on the farms is reliant on a supply chain to keep it going. And it has to have electricity to keep that supply chain going. Like a friend who earlier said, oh, well, my wife couldn't drive for umpty months because she couldn't get this part. Well, just imagine, you got to order that part using the computers and internet. Even the part stores order with computers and internet. The money's in a bank, which is electronic. And you pump fuel with electricity. I mean, everything is based on electricity. When the grid's gone, we ain't got nothing. It's over. This country is going to be in the worst shape you can imagine. It will be a nightmare. And the people in the cities will be pouring out like ants, the fire ants out of a fire ant man when you kick it. And for those of you that don't know what it's like, here in the South, we got these big fire ant mounds. And when you kick them ants are coming out everywhere and they're going to be stinging. Well, these people are going to be hungry and they be pouring out in the cities, scouring the countryside. So just because you're prepped and holed up don't mean you're going to be safe from either the radiation from the spent fuel rods, forget about the reactors, which everybody else worries about. Hey, Mickey Minnie's in the house and just gave $100 super chat. Hey, thank you, Mickey Minnie. Wow. Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. He's been my top patron by far. He makes doing these live chats worthwhile, guys. He really does.
That's great. Thank you, Mickey.
Yeah, absolutely. That really helps so much because I've been getting less and less in the advertising revenue. You know, I was actually making more money from the advertising revenue, quite a bit more, like 4 times or more just last winter than I am now. It's just dropping. I don't know what's going on. I think it's they're just not promoting my videos. That's where the people that come in here in the chat, we're family, and the family's supporting, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, Wise Owl says Mickey Mooney, wow, yowza. RV haulers, not much better, says Mary Tulsa Fox. I believe that. So yeah, we got a real active chat room here tonight. We got 133 people in the house, which is a little bit more than we normally get. So I think you're pretty well liked and pretty popular. A lot of people gave you a lot of compliments, Roy. So everybody needs to check out Roy's channel. Let me throw the link in here. Daniel threw it in a time or two. This is Roy's channel. If you've not gone there, go there, subscribe, blow his channel up tonight, guys. We've got enough people here in the room to almost double his channel subscription, especially if the people will be watching.
And thanks for Greg's subscribers that have already subscribed in the past, as well as those from Sustainable Stewards and Rainbow Food Rocks, and a few from KLW World News. It went from 8 subscribers to 80 from members of these other channels.
Oh yeah. Rainbow Food Rocks,
my friends. And
yes.
And actually, has anybody even managed to see me in chat? If not, our fellow board members maybe can assist us figure out why not. Because I have been chatting a bit there, and I noticed someone also mentioned the cars all throughout Michigan broke down in the fields because they can't get parts.
Hey, Roy, you are in the chat. You are in the chat. Somebody, some other mod hid you and put you in, hid you from the channel. But I found that when you mentioned that, and I have unhidden you. And guess what? Bang, you're a moderator. Might make it a little harder for somebody to hide. I don't know why somebody hid you. Somebody hid you.
No telling.
But, hey, you're a moderator now.
And it might have been my mistake because it's been for months.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It was like that.
But Roy's been a big supporter. He's real active helping us with the Freedom Restoration Foundation. He's done so much for us in that area. He actually wrote our last alert. I posted it last night when I was in another meeting. Actually, I was trying to multiplex just before I did my call with Stacy, and that's where my life is. I'm just wrapped up tighter than a wire around Dick's hat band. It's just it's been busy. So I don't know where that phrase comes from, but my friend used to say it all the time. Let's see. Let's go in here and I'm going to do a share. We're going to go back to our Freedom Restoration Foundation in a second, and we'll show your channel and all that good stuff. So here's one of the articles that kind of prompted this discussion here Talking about the mandates, straighten major disruptions. Industry insiders say, for those just joining, some of you saw that earlier. Here's Cowboy Roy's channel. All right, so when we started this video, it had 167 subs. Let's see if we got a bigger count on it now. I'm sure it's going to go way up. 194. How about that? She's a climbing there.
Thank you all.
She's a climbing up. So you got some subs here tonight. Oh, he didn't fulfill a campaign promise? Nah, you got to be kidding me. Nah. He probably couldn't remember the campaign promise. Wow.
And some of those old factual videos, including when Mr. George H.W. Bush on January 16th of 1991 announced the new order of the world, was deleted completely, even from my phone.
Wow.
Google deleted it. And then recently I saw Mr. Billy G, his TED Talk TV that somebody had reloaded onto YouTube, is deleted from my playlist, where he was discussing how carbon could be controlled. The excess carbon being produced by human beings could be controlled using inoculations and reproductive programs.
Oh, you talking about the gate?
For some reason, all that factual stuff tends to disappear off the platform.
Yeah, gotta be careful what we say. We got to be most careful what we say, or we will disappear. So we got to be careful. So for those of you that don't know, this is our Freedom Restoration Foundation. We have a group on Facebook until they kick us out. We got a group in MeWe, which will probably last longer. And you can join. We're not taking money for memberships right now, but if you want to get on our list, especially in case our groups get taken down, we are basically amassing, membership list. Email us at info@freedomrestorationfoundation.org. Just info at this right here, freedomrestorationfoundation.org. And come here regularly to see what our latest alerts are. And it tells you what it is and what you can do about it. Now, we probably need to take out some of these older ones. Some of these are outdated, so we got to get on that. But this is the one that Roy wrote, and I just pasted it up here. Roy, I will remind you that sometimes it takes a day for this stuff to clear the caches and appear on the website. So if we got a real hot potato, it may be hard getting it out within a short notice. This is a pretty hot potato.
That one I did as soon as I found out about it. Yesterday, I guess. I just happened to catch that video that I included in there since Jared so kindly provided it for us. That's a good channel to follow, as well as a couple others that I've posted in our media groups. In order to follow in case we miss stuff ourselves, at least you're still getting the information. But yeah, if you folks can, please try to email them tonight, leave them voicemail or whatever on your U.S. Congress House representatives.
Yep.
That they need to know what their constituents think about all that.
Yeah, please do. And you can click on our action center here and it tells you how to do that. So we give you more information about not only what to do, but how to do it. And I think any other group out there, some come close. We're talking about make your voice count. And then we show you how to actually track bills, even in your state, how to find legislators in your state. So we're not just focused on the federal guys. And then how to find who your representative is in the House Okay, here's the switchboard number that you can call, and you can do 1 for Senate and 2 for the House. That's the number you can call. But when you find your representative, you also get the email guys, and their physical addresses. Find who your senator is. Send an email, calling, writing, what to write. That's just generic, but it's a lot of good rules of thumb. What to say on the telephone. And then a recap of all these helpful websites, guys. And again, we talk about what our key things are here. And guys, this is coming out of my pocket. I'm a guy paying for the website, paying for WordPress and Elementor and all that stuff, because we're not charging membership dues right now. Because we're trying, we don't, you know, we're going to figure out how to organize that to do that in the future. But we're really trying to stay out from under the regulation of the GOVT. And then here's something. We need volunteers, though, guys. We need people to help us run this website, because I'm an extremely busy guy. It's very hard for me to make these updates. Right now, I'm the only one maintaining this website. But here is a list of all the bills that were up for Congress under the subject area, and talking about who introduced it, the status of it, the sponsors. You got co-sponsors, the bill name, the number, was the House or Senate, whether to oppose it or support it. Yeah, so a lot of information. We got these on two separate subject areas in here. I mean, who else puts this kind of information on their site, guys? So boom, we got a lot of stuff here. So, you know, we got them on this topic and on this topic. And now I know this needs to be updated, but guys, we're trying, we're really trying. And there's other stuff. We've had some debate about, you know, what to put on the Hall of Fame and whether or not to have a Hall of Shame. You know, I'm for it, but we've had a board member too that thought it would bring too much heat on us. You know me, hey, my name's John Hancock. I ride it 20 miles wide, and, you know, I will put a spotlight on it where you can see it from the moon. And, you know,
well, let's take a vote this evening if we need a Hall of Shame or not.
Well, we got 3 of our board members in there.
I make a motion to make a vote for that.
Hall of Shame.
see what all these good folks in the chat think about that.
Folks in the chat, would y'all like to see a Hall of Shame? Who we should shame? All right, so we got actions to take in Arizona. Yeah, we had some people didn't even want to list who the leaders of the organization were, because they thought that would reflect bad on the organization or on us. I don't know. I told the individual I don't even join an organization if I don't see who's running it. But, you know, the younger people have a very different mindset than us older guys. So I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a too much of a baby boomer. So, yeah, our most active states. Hey, we got Wisconsin, we got Texas, we got quite a few states involved. But we have kind of a nexus of membership in Arizona and Alabama, which, hey, I'm property owners in both states. Isn't that funny? So we can add stuff for every state eventually. Probably we'll just have a click for states, and you go down and see what's in each state when we get enough states involved. You know, but yeah, we can do this. We're all for state action, federal action, the whole 9 yards, guys. Everything that it required to promote the restoration of our freedoms, not the maintenance. Our freedoms are kicked hard. We want to bring them back.
Sorry, I just read Doug's comment about how the Hall of Shame list would be way too long. It wouldn't fit on the website there. And on that note, everyone, please check out Doug Thompson's YouTube also. And I don't remember the name for his other YouTube channel as well. He's got 2. Battle Axe and I both have little channels on the Goofy TikTok platform, where we're managing to provide things that YouTube seems to be allergic to. So you can get a little bit more information that way also. And in the chat, a lot of folks don't realize, I've learned through some of the other channels that I moderate, when we use all caps, the algorithm assumes that we're aggressively yelling. And I even see a lot of moderators do that because they don't know. I've had people argue with me, but we also know folks whose channels have been had the video removed during the video, and sometimes even suspended the channel, not because of what they said or showed during the video itself, but because of the live chat. Same thing goes if we go putting stuff that's considered conspiracy theory in there, or of course the way we treat others if it's inappropriate, but we don't need to be doing that in the first place. And Doug, you're welcome. Thank you. You helped us get Anthony Aguero on with Greg, and maybe we can get his assistance to get Oscar on with Greg also, so more can become aware of both channels.
I've just
in
put
order
Doug's,
to get more people informed.
I just put Doug's channel in the chat. Everybody go there and check Doug's channel out. And I want to interview Doug soon also. And I need to also interview my daughter. My oldest daughter's got a YouTube channel up now. I need to get her on too. So we got a lot of good subjects we can interview. I got an interview coming up Tuesday with the deputy director of the National EMP Task Force. And we're going to be talking about dealing with Russia and China simultaneously, and what a disadvantage we're at, and things that he recommends to do for that, which the people on the left side of the spectrum are probably going to be somewhat less than thrilled with. Daniel says, write letters to your local paper editors too. Now, that's a good point.
Oh, that is.
And Nicole Parrish just subbed to Doug. So Doug, you got at least one new sub tonight. So hopefully you guys blow up Doug's channel. Here he is again, and also Roy's channel. So there's Doug's channel.
And there you go. Also is the channel of Greg's lovely daughter with her health related good information. I dropped in there, and Doug, you may want to put the link for your other channel. That one's rather interesting.
So that one.
And that relates to some stuff that he has available for retail to help to protect your body.
Oh, wow. Green Country Agroforestry says, I went to high school with Doug Thompson. Oh, but this one's too young. Okay. Doug Thompson. I get it. LOL. Let's see. Teresa was already subbed. Okay. Stan Granville. Yep, Doug is stuck with me now. Yeah, Stan's been a big supporter of mine. You know, he's been he sent me actually he sent me the link that kind of prompted this video. Stan did. Stan, this is all your fault. We're on here doing this tonight. You prompted me. So I do pay attention to my subscribers. It is a bit hard though, because I get so much email, so many messages. I get sent probably 140 hours worth of videos a day to watch. And, you know, I still have to work my day job and eat, and I got to sleep at least 2 hours a night. But yeah, I get a lot of stuff, but I do pay attention.
I used to get by on that.
I do pay
Not
attention.
anymore.
And I appreciate the input I get. Sometimes it's hard to drink from the fire hose or from Niagara Falls, but I try as much as I can. And I do pay attention, guys. And some people send me email, and I just hadn't had time to respond to some of it. It don't mean I hadn't thought about it or looked at it. It's just Dan says, Stan says, whoops. Yikes. That's funny. So Starwolf, we got weather going on here in San Luis Valley, Colorado. We got the sheep stove burning tonight. Okay, yeah, I bet. Doug, at least 2 hours. Yeah, I need to sleep at least 2 hours. I got that. I try to get at least 2 hours sleep. There have been nights I didn't. Holy smoke. Yeah, so Cowboy Roy, your messages are coming through. You got the wrench now. So you can post stuff.
I think you need to give Stan a wrench too. He needs more responsibilities. Everybody makes him a mod, even though he doesn't want to be.
Well, this video is his fault. You know, it's his fault we're here. So that's a great idea. I'll find this comment where he said whoops. That's a perfect place to make him a moderator. Where he said whoops. Now it's a double whoop, Stan. Double whoops. So there we go. Stan, you're the man. So
Yeah, I see a number of people from the KLW World News Network. You all may want to look into that if you want some other forms of communication
yep, KLW.
that are secure.
That's true. Timmy, I sleep in a series of naps. Okay. So yeah, we've had a big weather event up and down the West Coast and in Colorado and Utah. I've had a friend in Utah talking about all the snow she had up in Salt Lake City. Timmy, I sleep with a series of naps. I sleep with a slug of nugs. Slugs of nugs. Sluggism is a measure of force, actually, kind of like weight. You know, in British, it's the British unit measure of force. Slug, it's related to weight. Weight is a force, actually. Mass is not. Weight is a force. Now, some of you will never get that. All right, Cowboy Roy shared KLW World News. Stan says, thanks, Roy and Greg. I'll behave. Yeah, I've seen Stan in other videos. I've been in other videos and channels I thought were like far removed from this and this topic and the stuff we cover and the normal family. And I see Stan in the chat room. I go, wow. I did see him in a chat room recently. I forgot what I was watching. I was kind of surprised. Oh, there's Stan. All right.
So Stan, we know you'll behave. We need you to help us do that. That's why you got more responsibility, sir.
There you go. There you go. All right. Let's see. I've had some people come in and beg me to make them a mod. And there's kind of a unwritten rule amongst YouTubers. You never make someone a mod if they ask you.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, my battery on my little laptop I'm running is going down. The one I'm keeping up with the chat room on. So in case you wonder, that's how I'm doing the chat room. Because I can't do chat and watch and share other screens at the same time. Now, if I kill the screen sharing, I can watch on my main computer. I'm gonna have to switch back. This thing is getting low on juice, and the screen got dim. So I drink copious amounts of caffeine to drive. Yeah, hey buddy, I hear you there, Timmy. That's me too. I don't take my sleep lying down. I take it in the cup. Right now, I got it in my Space Force cup that Granny Lana gave me. Same as the logo on Ed Kiker gave me that.
I have a
Yeah, what?
answer to Doug's question here.
Okay, what's that?
He says, just noticed that all the thumbs up on my most recent video were removed. How does that happen?
Oh.
That is part of dealing with this platform that you're watching us on. That is why if you watch any of the 4 channels of Inventor Lee Wilbarger, KLW World News Network, you will notice all his moderators and a lot of his subscribers putting the number of their thumbs up, because for his channel it's so bad that you can actually watch them be removed during the chat. Yeah. And so when we do that, there will be a couple number 2s and a couple number 12s and this and that, even though everyone refreshes the screen to make sure that they're caught up. YouTube does that. They will also unsubscribe people from the channel. That's why once in a while, if you're not noticing notifications, you need to actually go ahead and go back and look and see if you're still subscribed. You may need to resubscribe. I haven't personally had any of that issues of being unsubscribed to any. The only ones that are missing from my subscription list are completely gone from YouTube, either because they left it or because they provided too much truth.
I have been unsubscribed from my channel. But I've had one young man who subscribed to my channel tell me that he got unsubscribed 3 times. And he was one of my most, he used to always catch every chat we had. 3 times he got unsubscribed. So yeah, I got 181 thumbs up now. We appreciate that. And Wickham Cheese says he is 178. And yeah, we got
And
yeah, well, quite a few people. I do have people come here and give me their number too when they come in. Often they'll say it's my check-in number or something like that.
check-in number. Now, if any of you
Carl.
came in late, we have one of our foundation members has set up some links to be able to get some garments that the proceeds from will be donated to Greg to help cover that website that he showed us. And Greg, I sent those 2 links to you in an email again, I believe, if you want to pull them up.
Find it.
To show them.
Oh, I'm actually planning to set up my own garment thing because I got a whole bunch of ideas.
Yeah, but well, welcome to show mine anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody can do this one anymore.
This is
That was sublimated into the material. A friend here in Texas did those and then had to quit doing her printing and shut down the whole it's actually sell off the equipment. Those were done for me so I can put them on my vehicles.
there's your link to
As well as those.
Cowboy
Wound
Roger.
up with a bunch of them.
All right, there's a t-shirt link for Cowboy Roy Rogers, and here's the one he was talking about. I think this is my Green Greg's logos on these shirts. Yeah, I'm actually planning, you know, if especially my job ends, I'm going to do a whole t-shirt thing. I actually did one time set up a thing to do t-shirts, but pass. All right. Rebel Rose. Hey, Rebel, how you doing? She says, do ham or GRMS radios for comms and sat phone. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think Lee Wilbar is going to try to work ham into his network.
I think he may have mentioned that. Currently, we're working the app, using his network with 360 sub channels through a 2-way radio app that is downloaded on our phones. That's the channel, part of the channel list right there in some of the recent chats. And for foundation members that are in our social media groups that are also within the KLW World News Network, they set up a channel for me for us to use. And there's a Green Greg's channel. There's also a Galactic Greg's channel for this gentleman here that has invited me to join this evening.
Oh yeah, Galactic Dregs.
That could be of interest. And additionally, they have a lesser, what's the VIP membership's $35 per month. So it's like $1.30 per day or something. They have a lesser membership that's silver, which gives, I guess, less than half a dozen channels and then access to the website. They've done a special deal for us that nobody has taken advantage of yet to for our members of the foundation only to be able to use our channel with a setup fee of $15 for the first month to cover $5 on setup fee and then $10 per month. And if I understand correctly, that'll cover a couple emergency channels as well.
Oh yeah, you get emergency channels.
To get further information, that's why I dropped the Zello at KLW World News email address there.
Yeah, if you're in an area of danger, like there's a forest fire, tornado, or something coming right at you, they can pinpoint your exact location of their network, and then they can turn around and give you a warning and alert. of what's going on. When some of the fires they had when they had the ones at Paradise City in California, they actually told people that were going the wrong way toward a dead end road to turn around and go back another way to get out of this fire's harm's way, and it probably saved quite a few lives. So he's had those kind of applications, and he does monitor news everywhere. So that's probably one of the best perks of that whole system. I'm going to show y'all, since Roy mentioned, I'll show y'all my Galactic Dregs site. There we are, guys. See that space wiki right there? with an antler sticking out of his head, which are the solar arrays of the International Space Station behind. So, all right. Yeah, I haven't done as many videos over here, but it's I got 87 videos on this channel, though. Occasionally I do one over here I share with this channel, but a lot of them are not. So quite a few videos here. Mighty F1 moon rocket engine. So anytime you look at a channel, if you want to see, there's some weird racket. Oh, it's coming off my speakers. Yeah, I can only hear it one ear, and sometimes I can't tell where sound's coming from. And so occasionally it freaks me out a little bit, trying to figure out what is going on. And let me show you, if you want to go, anytime you go to any channel to find out, get a better list. So what you see is the playlist. If you want to see all the videos, just click videos. And you can, when you do that, you can sort them. You know, see, these are definitely space topics, which is actually one of my favorite areas to cover. If this channel was monetized, I might be doing more videos over here than on Green Grigs. The monetization is an incentive, guys. It really is. So let's see. Now, if I can go in here and look at most popular. Actually, my two most popular videos are unlisted now. The ones I started the channel out with were the most popular. But the person who was being interviewed, she liked it at first. She got a lot of attention, but it got to be too much. So she asked me to take them down. So I've unlisted them. So that's one of my favorite videos there about the F1 rocket engine. This video is doing really well right here. Russia's Zeus 500 kW nuclear space tug. I did that one like at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, which is the worst time to ever post a video. The absolute worst time. And it was just an experiment at testing the techniques for putting the thumbnail up before you do the video, which you got to jump through a lot of hoops, and I still haven't really mastered it. So that's why I don't do that a lot, because you got so many hoops to jump through that I've done it a few times, but it's kind of awkward for me. Air turbo rockets, that one's done pretty good. But I'm surprised how well this video's done. And I think it's actually getting watched by a lot of Russians, believe it or not. So I think this is getting a lot of overseas attention. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, I'll stop that share. Yeah, one more time, Roy Rogers video channel is here. Let's see how many more people you got. You started what, 166 when we started? 206, Roy. 206.
Goodness, thank you, folks.
Yeah, thank you guys for blowing this channel up.
I don't make a lot of videos because I don't have time, but sometimes I manage to squeak something in there that somebody else produced in order to help get it out.
It's hard to do it. It takes a lot of time because you got to research it, you got to video it, you got to find a good thumbnail photograph usually, you got to write up some text that goes in there. Guys, it takes a lot more time to produce these videos than you might think. You know what we can do? We can check and see if this is going up in subscription number any. Actually, this is kind of rounded. I could go, well, I can't go to the back page while I'm logged in Spring Grigs. But yeah, guys, this is something y'all can come in here and subscribe to this one. If you've not already done it. And you know, if we can get the views up enough for me to get I got enough subscribers, but I'm not got enough views to get it monetized. So that's the key. It's not just getting subscribers, you get subscribers and views. So yeah, if we get more views, if y'all come in and watch these videos, that would help. Hey, just let them play and walk off. That'll help me get the channel monetized. I need to get more content there too. I'm gonna stop that share. Halo. and I will come in here to our chat room. I'll put the Galactic Grades link in here. Daniel Twitlock's my Galactic Grades channel.
I'm dropping links for 2 of Lee's channels. Within his videos, he explains more about the network while also providing assorted news on plenty of hot topics and up-to-date stuff. But I had one last thing. That's what we started out about, is for the trucking stuff. I noticed in the chat some that are in the industry are thinking about getting out. We need all the experienced drivers we can keep. We've got administration trying to open it up for 18 years olds to be able to get interstate license across any states. And here in Texas, you can get an intrastate driver's license to only drive Class A commercial vehicle in the state of Texas. When I was a teenager, that was already available. I don't know about other states. And I don't know. I see new drivers that are older than myself, and truck driving schools, most of them are about worthless nowadays. They don't teach enough about driving the truck. They don't teach enough about securing the load and operating safely. They're a waste of money, but at least it helps. You know, some companies used to have good training for their own, but then they have new drivers as senior drivers training the brand new drivers. So everybody's green. So those that maybe can keep putting up with the nonsense longer, please keep trying to do it. And please keep trying to teach the younger folks, because if we continue to just have unexperienced people in the trucks, already it's looking worse and worse all the time. We got people from other countries coming here driving. We got Mexico trucks up here legally through programs that they can bring their loads with their trucks up through the states, and they have no respect for anything. They don't take care of their equipment. I'm sure some do, but we see a lot that's not well taken care of. It's not a good situation today. It wasn't a good situation a couple years ago, and it's getting worse. So as much as possible, stick with it. You need it. And I don't know, if it's with a big company, look for a little company. I told my boss, hey, you remember that truck that mechanic mentioned he might want to sell cheap that needs fixed up? Maybe we should consider getting it, even though we don't really want another driver, because some of these people that are good drivers may decide that they're going to leave where they're at for their personal human rights and health choices. So, you know, maybe that'd be beneficial to us and others, and to keep things going. That's some things to think about. Because, yeah, there are shortages of drivers, there's shortages of trucks, and then there are all these fabricated problems slowing things up, whether it's through the rail ships, airplanes, or just outright ignorant policies. And then, of course, you've got unions that are filling their pockets off of their union workers, claiming they're doing benefit for them. That was another situation that messed things up so bad when there was no rail cars available. So I had to run to Houston. There aren't many unions in the state of Texas, and Texas like it that way, but that is a particular union plant there. And a friend of mine who works there transferred from Bastrop. She did it for getting the raise and the much better income, because otherwise she wouldn't be putting up with it. They are concerned about their location, and that's about it. And frankly, within the company, that's why I don't mention them, because I don't want to put a bad name on somebody. Each individual location is concerned about themselves. I haul for the one in Bastrop, but I have to pick up from the one in the valley. And they're concerned about Bastrop, and that's pretty much it. If those folks down there need something, they may have to ask a couple times. If it's extra stuff, I carry it to them if I can put it in or on my truck or their trailer with me. But when they need trailers, they're going to take care of themselves in San Antonio first, not the folks that are 5 hours drive, roughly 300 miles away from them. That stuff goes on in all them big companies. It's just part of the deal. But the more we can get people educated, the more people can try to tough it out for longer. I don't even want to keep driving long enough to retire at it because it's so frustrating. And I stay at the state highways, the smaller roads of small towns. I can't stand driving on the interstate because of all the aggressive drivers. And every one of you in chat might agree. But I'll tell you something I learned from my daddy when I was just a kid driving on the gravel roads and through the field working at 9, 10 years old. When you think you know somebody, if you really want to know them, ride in their passenger seat. Because you behind the wheel are seeing things a whole lot different than the person is feeling in that passenger seat and people around you. Personally anymore, my boss is right. I'm impatient, but I'm impatient with aggressive, impatient drivers. I won't put up with them anymore. I'm not going to go out of my way and get myself hurt or my equipment tore up because somebody thinks they have to go the next mile within the next second. That's not the kind of people we need on the road. And that's what's going to happen. We have tighter and tighter regulations. So we have these trucks that are governed at 60 and 65 miles an hour, passing me through every school zone that the lights are flashing in. They're going 35 and 40 in a 35 mile an hour speed limit while the sign's telling them to go 20. They're trying to make time. They speed through every time because of government regulations and because of company policies. And what happens as soon as I get outside of town, I fly past them and I don't speed. It's because of the regulations. That's part of what makes the bad drivers, just like UPS and FedEx and whatever. I had a swerve and pass one going up a blind hill the other day because he turned out of a driveway on a little narrow, windy, rough 2-lane state road without ever looking. I didn't release the cruise, nothing.
Wow.
I just let it roll on by because if I slowed down, then there would have been somebody coming over that hilltop. So think about what you're doing yourselves when you're around trucks and show them appreciation. A lot of time they're disgruntled because the last person they dealt with. I tell you what, if some little old kid looks up and pumps the arm at them, or the mama rolls down the window, hey, would you mind to do that for my baby? Would you blow the horn for him? That makes our day for some of us. I got a gentleman who is within our route, saw me parked on the side of the road and thought I was broke down. So he pulled over in front of my truck to see if I needed help. I was putting my tools away because I saw a man with a pickup truck hopping up and down on a 4-way trying to break loose lug nuts on a truck I had passed roughly an hour earlier with nobody there. They'd gone and got a jack and a 4-way. So I was like, oh man, he's not going to get loose. So I went over and I helped him. I took the handle off of the floor jack, stuck it on the breaker bar, broke the stupid cheap little 4-way tool after getting a few nuts loose. So I dug out my tools. Somebody else that they knew came and helped them. And we got it off. I put my stuff away. He says, man, the fellow who stopped to check on me, because I pass his house, he waves and I'll wave or honk. His wife's father was a lifelong truck driver and recently passed away a few months ago. So he said, man, I done hollered at your boss on the CB and asked him if he would honk. He said, when you pass by, would you mind to honk and ask other drivers to honk their horn? Because that helps my wife, because she misses her dad that passed away.
Oh.
Just like in any occupation, in any group of people, little things can make a difference to make somebody's day and help them better. So just do the little things and keep your eyes wide open, your head on a swivel. It don't go for situational awareness when you're outside your vehicle only. Do it everywhere. And just, look out for others. Help when you can. If you see somebody signaling to change lanes, especially a big truck, please don't be a turd. If there's any chance it's me, you're going to get a bumper in your front of your nose, because I signal, I go. I'm telling you what I intend to do, and I'm going to do it. I'm not going to drive to 50 miles an hour because I'm going 74 and somebody wants to go 80 in a 75. It's not happening. I used to not be that way, but that's what putting up with aggressive people does over time. But I still do my best to try to operate safely. The only scratches have been on my vehicle is from other people hitting me, trying to dart around me and catching their back bumper and destroying in their fender and ripping my bumper. And I had to repair it because it was a hit and run. They stopped and then rushed off, stuff like that. Or somebody mistakenly swinging out too far across the one lane into the second one I was in, and their bumper catching on my truck and damaging my fuel tank and stuff. Or bad maintenance. Had a trailer ahead of me years ago, a reefer trailer, tractor trailer rig, and all of a sudden there are tires rolling off and shooting out under that trailer and over to the bar ditch, and a brake drum bounced off the road, then bounced off the hood and cab of a minivan, landed in front of me and hit my bumper, and then my front axle shattered it. No part of mine. All I could do was slow down and trying to center over it so it wouldn't rip out brake hoses or fuel lines. Stuff happens out on the road. And like I had a right to a judge once that wrote a letter to my boss because of false accusations out of somebody who instigated a problem being very unsafe. I told that judge, I said, I learned something, that in every situation that we go through, every individual within that situation makes it safe or unsafe, not just one. So prepare yourselves, like Greg shows you ways to do. I've got extensive playlists on my channel. That's the main reason for it. I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore, but there are hundreds of videos and playlists from great folks like Greg. I think maybe a couple Dougs are in there. I know Battle Axe, Sustainable Stewart's are in there. A little bit of Rainbow Food Rocks are in there on different channels. Use them to your advantage, share them. There's Grand Solar Minimum, there's Expose. You can kind of guess what that's related to. Real events that you need to be aware. There's one for freedom about our foundation. And there's a health playlist. I'm guessing you can figure out what that's about, but it actually has a lot of health tips also. And some of those videos show what has been done and what's really going on, and some of them are just to help us know what we can do to stay healthy.
Amen.
And some of those include Greg's daughter that we dropped the link for her channel earlier.
Oh yeah, let me show that.
Do what you can to help other folks.
Yeah, let me show her channel. Hang on, guys. We'll go over there. I'm gonna do a screen share. Give me a minute. Yeah, first I gotta get to it. Ding, ding. Give me a second, guys. I'll show y'all my youngest daughter. She's just started a YouTube channel, and she's very bright, and it's a very cheery channel. Jessica Boterford. She lives in Texas just like Roy does. So she's got 3 videos on here so far, and they're all very nice, good health tips and things like that, you know. So they're motivational health tip type videos, and she's very positive. So it's a lot of fun to watch her. She's very upbeat, and her personality wise and the way she presents herself kind of reminds me of Gail with Rainbow Food Rocks, Gail Angeles. So very upbeat individuals. So check out her channel, guys. She's only got 7 subs. Subscribe to her. Bang the update notification bell when you go over there and click off. So there it is. And I will copy this and paste it in the chat room. I'm gonna stop the share. Bing. And let's see. Oh yeah, Victory's already subbed. Thank you, Victory. This is my oldest daughter's channel. My younger daughter started a channel earlier, had a lot of good tunes she sang on it, but she never promoted it, and she actually deleted it. There we go. All right, guys. Star Wolf B for I pull Wolf Creek past chain time. I don't know what you mean by that, but I'll tell you, there was a place called Wolf Creek in Oregon. Gave me the creepiest night I ever seen. That's a whole nother story. And I have told it before on the channel, so there's no point in repeating it right now, although I'm bringing it up later. Wolf Creek, Oregon. Creepiest place I ever saw in my life. Anyway, yeah, I got out of there in a hurry. So yeah, you got a lot of good channels to check out tonight. I'll throw in her. Teresa Robinson said subbing, and this is Jessica's channel. Well, thank you, Nita, as always. She subbed off the bat. So I think Roy, you seem to be kind of tired. I know you've been up late. You got to get up early, and I still got to go out to my
alarm went off at 3 a.m. this morning.
Yeah. I got to go out to my micro. You know, I was still awake when you were waking up. I hadn't even gone to bed yet. And I'll see them it'll be tonight too. I got to go out and water my microgreens and then turn that trailer off. And once I get all it turned off, it's on the same circuit as my washer and dryer in the house. And then maybe I can come back in and do some laundry. Might find me something to eat somewhere in between. And I got some other work to do.
Goodness.
I got some other work to do. So I'll be up kind of late, but I know you've been up late. You're tired. You got to get up early. So I don't want to hold you any longer. We've had a good chat tonight. Very good long conversation. I appreciate you. I appreciate all you do for our Freedom Restoration Foundation, which is very significant, guys. I really appreciate Roy for all that. And we got a few other viewers that are in here tonight that are involved in our overall movement. So I want to thank all of them. I want to thank Mickey Mooney. He's like the patron of this channel, guys. He's been awesome. He's really kicked in a lot of good super chats. He's trying to encourage other people when he does that. So Mickey Mooney, I really appreciate you, sir. And I appreciate everybody who's watched this video, all you watchers and the mods. Mods have been really busy tonight. They've had a lot of work to do. So I want to thank the mods for all they've done. And you got any closing words?
Keep the shiny side up and the rubber on the ground.
There you go. Very good. Taken from a trucker. All right, guys. The bottom line is that, guys, we're in for a rough time here. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get a lot worse. The supply chains are about to shatter a lot more across all the industries because we're already short workers across the whole spectrum of industries. And now we're about to be shorter because of the great insights and wonderful wisdom of the POTUS. He's doing such a wonderful job. He's about to crash our economy. It looks like we're in for a rough ride, guys. So get your supplies now. This winter may be rough. I don't know. I hope it's not as bad as some people are saying. I hope it don't get close to that. But get your supplies now. Get everything you need. I mean, go buy gas bottles. Go buy you some cook stoves. Get you some kerosene lamps. Be careful of kerosene though. Only use K1.
Yes.
Have your kerosene heater. Go to your Costco's and Sam's Clubs, the big box stores, and buy the big bags of rice and beans. If you can can stuff. But go check out my specials. Go to prepwithgreg.com. That's the kind of stuff that you need to fully round everything out. 2,000 calories a day, and get seeds right now for your next spring while you get them while the getting's good. And hey, if the spring rolls around and everything hadn't crashed, hey, you might want to grow a bigger garden, get more. But do what you can, guys, because we just don't know we don't know what's in store for us. But it's certainly concerning looking ahead at all the things that challenge us, especially with the supply chain unraveling, with the international tensions being what they are. Domestic tensions are sky high. We got all this stuff going down on our border that Roy's all worried about here because he's living in Texas. I got a daughter in Texas. And so there's just a lot to keep our eyes on. That's why we got to keep our eyes wide open, head on a swivel, guys, more than ever right now. And we got to know what to do when it comes to you. That said, once again, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And thank you, Mickey. Thank you, Roy, for all that you do. And good night, everyone.
Thank you also.
Bye-bye. God bless and good night.